Tiny House Prepper.
Hi there, everybody. I'm Bill.
And I'm Elizabeth with Tiny House Prepper. And Leo.
And Leo. Hi, Leo.
He has discovered that he loves to just sit on the back of my chair and survey the surroundings.
Yeah.
He hangs on even when I get up and down, too. Although last night I leaned forward and all of a sudden, and he just tumbled right
This is
onto
a
my
rocking
lap.
chair, so when she gets up, the back rocks like this, and he's like a bird on a branch trying to stay in place.
It was so cute. But he likes it up there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, since I put out the video talking about that I'm no longer driving for Swift and I'm now self-employed, we've actually gotten quite a few comments and quite a few questions about what we are doing about health insurance. Well, quite frankly, I never really thought about it because I had good insurance with my employer, and now we've got good insurance, and I'll talk about that in a second. But I guess that ever since the Affordable Health Care Act made health insurance so unaffordable, it's become a real question for a lot of people.
Well, you know, that is a serious concern of whether or not somebody is going to be able to stop doing all the working they've been doing, either semi-retire
Right.
or fully retire. It's not just a matter of your Social Security coming in. It's a matter of, are you going to be covered for health insurance? And, you know, years ago, it got so, even before the Affordable Care Act, our health insurance got so expensive. There was periods of time where we really weren't even able to have it.
Right.
And God was good, and we
Right.
did fine. And of course, now you can't do that. You have to have some kind of insurance.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we realize that that's a serious question in people's lives, thinking in terms of whether they can leave their employer's insurance to do something else or whatever.
Right. In fact,
So-
we even had several people comment saying that they would love to retire like, you know, well, not that I'm retired, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, not driving the truck anymore.
Yeah, like I have, but they can't because they need to continue the health insurance. And I really feel bad about someone who has to continue to work just because of the health insurance.
Although that it's a real serious
Right.
concern. And I tell you what, I'm grateful that before some crazy stuff started happening in my life, we were insured.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
I started driving with Swift, and we got the good insurance, and it was about, what, 2 years later that you had the stroke?
Yeah, probably within 2 years.
Yeah, so anyway, what we are doing, we don't have any recommendations of what you can do. We're just going to tell you how we're covered.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Yeah, because there's so many different things to look at. There's like sort of like group insurances, like some of the like Christian insurance groups that work together. There's a lot of different options, but we can just share with you what's working out, what we are doing because of our situation.
Right. So after she had the stroke, you know, she was a piano and voice teacher for decades.
It was 32 years or something like
And
that.
she was making a good income,
Full time, yep.
full-time income, full-time job she had. And what was your highest number of students?
77 students I taught every week,
Yeah,
Yeah.
individual half-hour lessons,
or sometimes hour lessons.
hour lessons, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was full-time.
As a workaholic, I loved it.
Anyway, after she had her stroke, she couldn't work anymore. And that was a real blow to our finances, but
It was a blow to a lot of things.
yeah. But after a certain amount of time that was required, she was able to request disability, and she got it. And 2 years after you start on disability, you are actually required to go on Medicare.
Yeah, they put you on Medicare.
So she has been on Medicare for a number of years now.
Yeah, I had the stroke in 2012,
Yeah.
so I was on Medicare by 2014.
Now, I just want to say something here about her stroke. She's talked about it before. We've talked about it before. But for those of you watching on, you know, on the video, it may seem like, well, she's doing fine. She's, you know, why do you talk about the stroke all the time, and why is she getting disability? Well,
I'd rather be back to working
Yeah.
what I did before. I loved
but
it.
we video on her up days, and so you only see the best side of it. And she feels uncomfortable. She feels uncomfortable with me talking about this, but I just want you to know that when her brain gets tired, she has all kinds of difficulties. She wakes up in the morning, she's doing fine, but further into the day, or certain activities that she does, and her brain gets really tired, and all of a sudden she completely loses her balance. She can't walk anymore without stumbling over, and her right side, the doctor says she revisits the symptoms of the stroke. It's not actually a stroke, but the right side gets numb again and that sort of thing. And she really has a difficult time. So she really honestly cannot work anymore. She used to play the piano for hours on end.
Oh, I loved it.
And she can still play the piano as well as she ever could, as you've seen in some of the music we've done. But she'll play for 20 minutes or so, and her brain gets tired from working the fingers.
My right hand stops working, right? My eye stops tracking.
Yeah, and all of a sudden she can't play anymore. So typing, she can't type for more than 10 or 15 minutes at a time.
Oh, goodness.
And she's done.
Typing's almost harder than
Right.
piano in some ways.
Right.
I have tried, when you're first having to go through therapy, physical therapy and occupational therapy and all that stuff for all that time, because I'm so much better than I was at the beginning. They tell you don't push too hard. But after about 18 months, if there's any healing that's going to go on in the brain, it's pretty much generally done by then. So I talked to my neurologist after 18 months, and I told him, I said, so if I sit at that piano and I play until I fall off the bench, it's not going to hurt my brain? He cracked up laughing. He said, no, it won't hurt your brain. So I have tried for all these years, since 2012, to push more than 15, 20 minutes of really playing, and I hit a wall. And it makes me really mad because I love to play the Moonlight Sonata, and I cannot finish the whole thing. I get to the last line with all the pretty runs and arpeggios going to the very end, and my right hand stops working. So, yeah, I'm grateful I can still play. I'm grateful I can still sing. I don't have the power I once did, but I can still sing. But I'll be honest with you, I miss it terribly. I used to play for hours and write music all the time and work a lot with worship, and I did huge recitals. I loved them. Absolutely loved it. And so anyway, yeah. So that, I've tried, we've wrecked our brains trying to think of ways that I could personally make a living again. And there's just too many situations where all of a sudden I'm tipping over. I feel like I want a Weebles wobble, but we don't fall down pin. Bill said I don't look like I'm drunk. I look like a 1-year-old.
Yeah, a toddler who's just kind of like this, rather than a drunk who's kind of smooth when they stumble. Anyway, so yes, we are getting disability. She's getting disability, and that certainly helps. But
I would rather have my income.
her disability is really only a fraction of what she was earning when she was working.
Yep.
But because of the disability, then she has the Medicare, which you have had for a number of years.
And the Medicare has been significant.
Yeah.
That is, I would be in much worse shape losing the Medicare, through these years than I would have been losing the disability.
Right.
So
Now, for me, as you may know, I'm retired military, 24 years. I had 11 years in the active duty. I was a trombone player in the Army band.
he plays all sorts of stuff.
11 years in the active duty, and then 13 years in the National Guard, the entire time as a trombone player. So I'm retired with 24 years of total service. Now, when you retire from the National Guard, you don't get your benefits, your retirement pay, and all of that until age 60. So I've just started getting that, which is still not as much as it would be if I was retired from active duty.
He was so cute. I just got to interrupt for a second. He didn't want to celebrate his 60th birthday. So we celebrated starting to get retirement checks from the Army Day. So we celebrated. It was so cute. It was exciting turning 60.
But as part of that, I am now eligible for TRICARE, which is the military insurance that we use at local doctors. We don't have to go to the VA hospital to use it. Now, I was under the impression that I still had to pay for that, but that it was cheaper, but I still had to pay for it. And then I discovered when I quit working with Swift, and all of a sudden I knew my insurance with Swift was going to end, I looked into TRICARE really quickly because I had to make sure that I got it started. That's when I discovered that they had automatically enrolled me on my 60th birthday, and I didn't even know it. And there's no cost to it. It's free because I'm in military. So
That's really a blessing.
yeah, so that's how we are covered with health insurance. She has the Medicare. I have TRICARE. She would also be eligible for my TRICARE. If she didn't have Medicare, she'd be eligible for TRICARE as my dependent.
So, yeah, I mean, I still sometimes have what they call TIAs. It's a mini stroke, and I've been really faithfully taking the blood thinner and doing the stuff the doctor said, and so none of them have ever caused permanent damage like the first stroke did. But it's landed me in the hospital several times in these recent years. And I'm so grateful. I had one day I was in there for like 36 hours and it was over $33,000, and my portion of that was about 260, I think. I'm beyond grateful. You know, I try to use as little health care as I can, but you know, you got to be realistic. And so anyway, we're very grateful that we have it, and that is one thing that's made it possible for Bill to be able to be home.
Right.
You know.
Right.
In fact, we were pretty excited to find out that he didn't have to pay for his, and then I found out right after that one of my medicines is going to probably pretty much equal that out.
Yeah.
But we're still blessed because we were planning on having to spend that. So, you know, God works it out.
Yep. So that's it. Like I said from the beginning, we don't really have any recommendations as to what you can do to cover yourself. We're just telling you what we have done because a lot of people have asked.
Right.
So
it's not like we made these wonderful, great plans. Bill enjoyed the military, and he stayed in for 11 years inactive and 13 National Guard, and it's been many years now. All of a sudden, it was like he was turning 60, you know. And
I still don't know how that happened.
I understand. And having to quit my career full-time teaching is honestly one of the hardest things I've ever done. But I'm very grateful that out of it I've ended up in a situation where I've got really, really good medical care. Mm-hmm. And so that's one thing, you know, we always budget in that we're going to have some medical cost, but we don't have to worry about huge catastrophic kind of things. Even when I was on Bill's work insurance when I had the stroke, and another one in the hospital, but they saved me. It was amazing, intensive care. But anyway, even that, it took us years to pay off the portion that we had from his insurance. Right. But now my insurance is so much better. I don't plan on being in the hospital again for another 8 days with a stroke, but the insurance we have now is really, really good. I'm grateful for it. Paid into it for many, many years, and I'm grateful to have it. So I think they gave me disability right away because I'm so old. I mean, we had all my medical stuff in a row, and the lawyer sent the stuff in, and I got it right away.
Yeah, I think the disability payment she's getting is lower than what her Social Security would have been.
It's a lot lower.
So they saw the chance to pay out less over the long term, so they gave her the disability instead.
Right. Yeah, because of my age at the time.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful to have it.
Right.
You know, it took me a long time to be willing to do disability.
Yeah. So anyway. There it is. That's how we're doing it.
And you know what? I don't want to seem like, you know, Bill said, yeah, it makes me kind of uncomfortable talking about it. God's been really good. And on my good days, I'm really good. And on my bad days, I just have to rest a lot. That's one of the reasons why I have to have a recliner, because you balance all the time. And my brain gets really tired of balancing because it seems to be where I've got some permanent damage. So a recliner, and I'll probably push my head against the cat, but in a recliner my head can go back and I can finally stop balancing. And then I can really rest. I never even paid attention to having a brain before. Now I have to rest my brain. Yike. So, yeah, anyway. Alrighty, well, people have asked us a lot about the insurance, so we wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit.
So, there you go. Thanks for watching.
Yep. We love you guys, and thank you for sharing and all these things with us, and we've got a lot of neat things coming up. We can't do much building projects until the ground isn't frozen solid, but we do have traveling coming up. We got more little like construction stuff going to be kind of going on. I'm even going to try to get some quilting in here as soon as I can pull it together. So anyway, we're trying. All right, bless you guys.
Be blessed. Have a great day.
Leo says, meow, meow. He's a Maine Coon. He goes, you're kidding. I don't do a good Maine Coon accent. What can I say?
Bye-bye, folks.
Bye.
Hey there, everybody. I'm Bill.
And this is, yep, try it again. And I'm Elizabeth with Tiny House Prepper, and this is Leo. You want to try that again?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. I fiddled, fuddled. Okay.